What's up, friends? Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's video is going to be my October reading wrap-up and talking about all of the books that I read in the month of October. There are 28 of them. I had such a good reading month. I even had a few 5-star reads, which is rare for me. I usually just have 1 or 2, maybe, if any. I feel like I'm a little stingy with my 5-star ratings, but this month was just so good. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna scoot these over to the side. Whoa. Let's get right into it and start out with a banger, because The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson 100% deserves a spot on your TBR. If you've been around on any of my bookish social medias, you should know that Tiffany D. Jackson is one of my all-time favorite authors. She's like top 3. Every time she writes a book, I swear it just speaks to my soul. So this is her newest release, The Scammer. And this follows a girl named Jordan who's off at college. She's got a dorm room with some roommates, and she comes home from classes one day to the dorm room to find one of her roommates' brothers, who was just recently released from prison, sleeping on the sofa. His name is Devante, and he's going to be staying with them for a little while because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. But things very quickly start to escalate as he starts to kind of indoctrinate these girls with these really weird theories and these really strange and harmful practices of things that he truly believes in. And throughout the story, we see he's feeding them these things, and they're changing. The girls are changing because of it. This story will make you angry. It will make you want to jump through the pages and beat some of these characters, or like beat some sense into them, I should say. And it will have you on the edge of your seat the entire time. The twist at the end was so good. Tiffany D. Jackson does not disappoint, guys. Pick up one of her books. Any one of her books, you literally can't go wrong. And I don't know. Is everyone tired of hearing me say this yet? Because I talk about this all the time. When she puts her pen to the paper, it's magical. She can't go wrong in my eyes. This was a great book. Don't get me started on this next one, though. Oh my gosh. You'll Never Know by Caleb Stevens. He is another one of my favorite authors, but he's an indie author, so not as many people know about his books. They are missing out. Caleb Stevens is a fantastic writer, and this is his newest thriller. This one does not release until November 18th, but it is worth the wait. The wait is excruciating because this book is so damn good. This follows a man named Grant and his wife. In the beginning of the book, they're driving up to a mountain. They're going to park their car, get out, and hike a trail. But when they get to the spot and they get out of their car, a van pulls up and abducts the wife right in front of his eyes, and then proceeds to send him on like this random hunt that in order to get his wife back, he needs to solve these riddles that these kidnappers keep giving him step by step. And you go through this journey with him. And that's really all I feel like you need to know about this book, because that's what happens in like basically the first chapter. But there is so much more. There is so much more to this story. This is one of those types of thrillers that is not just simply a thrill and a fun plot, but there is so much emotion and depth and layers to this story. Guys, this is freaking fantastic. Hands down, this is going on my top 10 books of the year, and it's definitely one of my favorite thrillers of all time. This was the easiest 5 stars I've ever given. I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video that I was going to be starting off with all of my banger books. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. The Crown Prophecy by Meg Acuna. This was so good. If Giggling and Kicking Your Feet was a book, it would be this one. This one follows a girl named Quinn who lives down in the village, but through some connections, she ends up getting a really cool job as a baker in the kitchens of the palace. The staff is really supposed to mind their own business and not really interact with the queen or the prince, but when she crosses paths with the prince, he really takes a strange liking to her. Meanwhile, in the castle, they're holding this like secretive competition where these women come and display their magic. The prince needs to find a partner who his magic mingles with so that they can keep the wards of the city intact through their magical bond, okay? That's the magical side of this story. Aside from how wonderful and really well executed I thought the plot was in general, this book also has the best vibes. It's got like the cooking baking vibes, it's got cozy magical vibes. The magical system was not hard to follow at all, and it has found family trope. I am a sucker for found family trope. This book was fantastic. I loved it so much. I procrastinated finishing this book toward the end. I was reading like a page a night because I literally didn't want the story to end. I knew it was gonna leave me off on a rude cliffhanger, which it totally did, but I will be set for whenever book 2 comes. I don't know when that is. I need to look into it because I just barely finished this one, but I loved it. Pick this one up for sure. Running Between Trees by GoGo Okeke. This book is like nothing I've ever read, and I don't know if this one is going to be for everyone, but it was for me. This is another book that I read super slowly because I just didn't want it to end. It was so immersive every time I picked it up. It follows a Nigerian woman who came over to America to go to school. She came with her family to go to school and study psychology, and she now works with children who are on the autism spectrum. The book is extremely character driven. As we follow Samira, we see so much through her point of view. She has some family back home still in Nigeria. She has a long distance relationship. Her boyfriend is back home in Nigeria, that they've kept this thing going for years. She has not been back to visit, and she struggles to keep one foot rooted back home in her roots and staying true to the way she was raised and the traditions and the things that she was taught to believe in, and also while being so heavily influenced by Americans and American culture, and she struggles to keep that balance. In this book, I would say that the culture is the main plot. You learn so much about the differences between what life is like there versus what it's like in America, and you especially see how the people of Nigeria view mental health and autism so differently than they do in America. Samira's ultimate goal is to bring awareness and resources back home to Nigeria so that they can help people with autism there. This is a beautiful book. I really loved this one. I put tabs in this book. I never tab books. I also have a million sticky notes on the back because I just had so many thoughts while reading this. I loved this book. Then we have The Book of Lost Hours by Hayley Gelfuso. I don't know if I'm saying the last name correctly, but this was a great book. If you have read The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown, this was so reminiscent of that in the best way. It had that kind of like time traveling magical secret society vibes, like super immersive. This one was very well done. It follows a young girl named Lisabeth, and her father had a watch that was magical, and it opened a place called the time space. The time space is this void where memories are kept, and you can only access this time space through one of these magical watches. One night, to keep Lisabeth safe, he puts her into the time space, but then he gets killed before he can re-enter it to join her. So she's lost in this time space for many years, and you follow her journey, her perspective of what it's like in there, and then you also follow the perspective of people on the outside world as well. If you can't tell just by what I said about it there, it's a magical book. It is not like anything else that you'll read. It's very unique, and I thought this was incredibly well done. I loved this one. I was shocked actually that this is a debut book because it was just so original and different, and the writing was really great. The only thing I will say about it is that the ending wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be. I did have a few questions that I kind of wanted to be answered like as it wrapped up, but despite all of that, this is still a fantastic book. Then we have The Safari by Jaclyn Goldis. This was a really good book. So this is like a mystery thriller book that follows a super rich family. The mother is the owner of like this big fashion company, and it takes place in South Africa on a luxurious safari where the family always vacations, but this time they're all going back because the mother is about to remarry, and this is where they're going to hold the celebration. So we've got Odelia, we've got her new fiance, we've got she's got 3 adult children, one of which is married with a child, and so this whole family is there. She's got her best friend and a servant woman who has taken care of them for years. Hours before the wedding, Odelia is found dead. And everyone in this family has secrets. Lots of good, juicy drama in this one, and I loved that the setting took place in a safari, a South African safari. Like no other book I've ever read has had such a cool and unique setting. I loved that about this book. I definitely recommend this one. Strange Houses by Uketsu. This is the first one that I'm gonna say I don't necessarily think is worth your time. This book had me hooked in the very beginning, but once we hit halfway, things kind of started to slow down. When we hit about 75%, I was very disinterested, and the ending just totally lost me, unfortunately. It was like a downhill effect. It started out so weird and interesting, where the story gives you a floor plan for a home. On each of the pages, they're talking about something different within these floor plans for this really strange looking home. And it takes you through the author, who is really concerned about why this floor plan is set up so weird. And they start diving deep and investigating into like what could have been going on with the family that lived there. And like I said, at first it was very macabre, maybe I'll say. It was very just like horror-esque and just unhinged, and I really enjoyed that aspect. But like I said, it really just lost me. I don't know what else to say other than it lost me eventually. There is another book by him that has a very, I'm looking at it right now, it has a very similar situation, but it's called Strange Pictures, and I think that that one is like art museum photos possibly. I still do want to read that one and see where it goes, but this one I'm not really sure if I would recommend. Then we have The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. Apparently this is a very popular book. I had never heard of it before, and then suddenly I did, and I was like, hey, I want to read that. This is very unforgettable. This is one of those types of books that you read and you don't forget because the storyline is so unique. It follows a couple who are living in Alaska doing like the wilderness homestead lifestyle, and this specific couple has had trouble having a child of their own. They're very mournful about that, but one day after a snowstorm, they go outside and they build a snow child. They build a child out of snow. And when they wake up the next day, the snow child is gone, but they get a glimpse of an actual child, kind of like back in the trees, like the cover shows. They are very captivated by this little girl, and she is very mysterious, and they want to know more about her and what is going on with her. This story was just so beautifully told and had such a magical and whimsical vibe to it. That's definitely part of what made the story so unforgettable, but I really enjoyed this one. It's also kind of a chunky book. It's, well, it's not even 400 pages, but why is it so chunky? It didn't feel long though, that's my point. Like, I sped through this and it was just overall a really great story. Then we have another Steve Cavanagh book, The Devil's Advocate. I always enjoy a Steve Cavanagh book. There's not a book of his that I have read and have not enjoyed so far. In this book, there is a man who is a district attorney and is just kind of out for blood. We are suspecting, I say we like I'm one of the characters, we are suspecting that he is purposely trying to get people the death penalty because he likes to see it. And when an innocent man is on trial and facing the death penalty under this man, we have Eddie Flynn, who comes to his defense as his lawyer. Eddie Flynn is the main character in these Steve Cavanagh books. He's a former con artist who has turned lawyer, so he's a cool lawyer. Like, he gets things done even if they're not in the correct way. He has connections and he has the mindset of a con artist. Like, he makes for such a good character, especially as a lawyer, and it's always just a freaking ride and an enjoyable time. I recommend all of his books, at least the ones I have read so far, but this one was really good. I also read The Hacienda by Isabel Canas and loved this one. This had such good gothic mystery vibes. This was perfect for the month of October. It follows a woman named Beatrice who basically marries into money for the security of her family, and when she moves into his big old gothic mansion home, the house starts acting weird. This is a very common trope and a very typical gothic horror style of book, and I eat it up every single time. I love this trope. I felt like this one was very equally character driven, also very plot driven, but also had such a good amount of atmosphere in the storytelling. Like, I have nothing bad to say about this book. Overall, this was a fantastic one, and it definitely deserves a spot on your TBR. I also did listen to the audio of this one and highly recommend it. It was so atmospheric. You may or may not have seen my horror novella readathon video that I posted a couple weeks ago, I think. But these are all the books I read during that video. This was really fun for me. I read Below by Lauren Hightower. This was really good. I'm not going to say the descriptions because you can kind of check out that video for all of that. Haunt Sweet Home, I did not like this one at all. Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, banger, so good. Wilted Lilies was another banger. I loved this one. Sour Candy, this one was really good, really creepy. Goddess of Filth was wild, and I enjoyed this one too. And then one more book that I read earlier in the month is, what's this called? I can't remember. I Found the Boogeyman Under My Brother's Crib by Ben Farthing. I'll put the picture on the screen right here. Yeah, I didn't like this one very much. I don't really have anything to say about that one, unfortunately. Moving on to On a Quiet Street by Seraphina Nova Glass. This is the type of book you need to read if you love, like, neighborhood drama. I have one more, actually. Let me grab it real quick. The other one that I read is The Truth About the Accident by Nicole Trope. So these two books right here, if you liked one, you'll like the other. In this book, it starts out in the beginning, there is, it's an extremely rainy day, and someone gets hit by a car. A pedestrian gets hit by a car. Several people call it in to the emergency services and say, hey, I think I just saw someone get hit by a car, but no one has all the facts right. And so the story kind of goes through all of the people who were involved and their point of views and what they saw on that day. But the person that was hit, his name is Damon, and he's currently in a coma. We follow the point of views of his wife, we follow the point of view of his therapist, and we follow the point of view of his mistress. All three of these women have very strange ties to this man, and the way the story wraps up in this end was really great. This is a good, juicy little book. Then in this one, we're following a group of people who live in the same neighborhood. We follow a woman named Cora in one of the houses. She's pretty certain that her husband is cheating again. Then some more neighbors that we follow are another couple, and they have recently lost their son. And then we follow another woman in one of the other houses who's very secretive, very secluded. She has a young daughter, but she literally never leaves the house. She's got some weird vibes going on. These three different point of views start to mingle together in really random, crazy ways, and it's just a really good book. Very juicy. If you love the good neighborhood drama type of book, you'll love this one. It was so fun. Okay, then I read these two books. Now, these are not going to be for everybody. These are super, super YA, very young adult, probably even like middle grade. But hey, I loved these books. These are so fun. This one is book one. It's called The Mystery of Locked Rooms by Lindsay Currie. And then book two, The House with No Keys by Lindsay Currie. So in book one, you follow a group of three best friends, and these kids love doing escape rooms together, and they're actually pretty incredible at them. One of the friends, the main character, her family has just received a foreclosure notice, and they're about to lose their home unless they can do something about it. So together, these kids decide to take on a crazy challenge. There is a legendary escape room that has been closed down, but it's said that the owners have hidden a treasure inside of it that can only be accessed if you beat the entire house as an escape room. It's forbidden to enter because it's been closed down for a really long time, but they sneak in and attack the challenge anyways because it's the only thing they could think of to save her home. It's so good. Okay, and then in the second book, they do more escape room stuff, which I'm not going to talk about because it kind of gives away like the ending of book one. So good. I loved these books, and I like to say that if you have someone in your life who's younger, maybe if you have teenage kids, you want to try to get them into reading, or you know someone who already loves reading, these are the types of books that as a kid will make you fall in love with reading. They're so good and wholesome. I loved them. I entered into my Sparrow's Fall era this month and started the Sparrow Fall series by Cowles. I read Fragile Sanctuary, which is book one. I have book two ready to go, and I really enjoyed this one. This was, Cowles has a way of doing romance and mystery so well together, so like romantic suspense, but heavy on the suspense in this one. I was super into the mystery vibes of this one. I think more so than I was into the romance. It follows a woman named Rhodes who lost her entire family in a house fire when she was young. She was the only survivor, and it's been a very hard trauma to carry with herself all of these years. She is just now back at the house that burned down all those years ago and working to rebuild it. And the contractor on the job, his name is Anson, he has a crazy past of his own that he keeps very secret, but he's just a freaking grumpy dude. But they can't resist each other. It's a great scenario. Like, I loved the vibes of this one. That's pretty much it. But we've also got the mystery that plays into it, where someone is still trying to terrorize Rhodes. Like, there's a lot of mysterious stuff going on, and they're pretty sure that someone is targeting her for some reason. And so that's where the mystery plays into it. But overall, it's just a really great book. We're gonna do this one really fast. This one is called Slanting Towards the Sea, and it was definitely my least favorite of the month, I would say. I'm actually surprised I didn't end up DNFing this book. I wasn't really interested in any of the characters, and I can't tell you what it was about without having to look again. It takes place in Croatia, which is one of the things that I really did enjoy about it, because I've never read a book that takes place there, and I love exploring other cultures in the books that I read. But, oh yeah, okay, so I remember this one. She divorced the love of her life over 10 years ago. The reason why is very unclear. It's clear that she still loves him, but she divorced him for some reason. And that's kind of what made me keep reading. Like, I wanted to know why. He's now remarried and has a child with another woman, and the main character is still very much a part of his life. They left on good terms, we'll say. And you just kind of follow their story. I feel like I read this book more so because I was nosy and wanted to know more about what was going on in their marriage, rather than because I was invested in the characters, unfortunately. So this one I'll pass on this one. This one wasn't my favorite. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. This was a fun ride. This was a big old book, but it really didn't feel that big. This one takes place in the Mariana Trench. So it's about several years ago, there was a group of researchers who set out to the Mariana Trench to research some things, and legend has it that none of them returned because of mermaids. Although it was a legend, there were some really questioning pieces of evidence that were discovered, enough to make another crew want to go back out there and reinvestigate all these years later. So that's what we're following. We're following the new crew who get on this boat and travel out to the Mariana Trench to investigate and really see if there are mermaids lurking in those super deep waters. This book gets really intense, and I love an underwater creepy, something lurking below the surface type of book. That's exactly what you get in this one. It had really good atmosphere. The ending was absolutely wild. I was very pleased with this whole book, so I really enjoyed this one. I read Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McAuley. This is like a slasher. I don't typically gravitate towards slashers. I enjoy them, but they're not, like, they don't become favorites, but this was a really good one. It follows the main character, Hannah, who she just has crazy PTSD. She was on a wilderness trip with her fiance, and she was the only one that came back alive. The tragedy that they suffered there weighs on her. It has altered her entire life. She's kind of suffering from like a state of psychosis. She's seeing a therapist. She's taking medication to help calm herself. Like, she's got a lot going on. She's going through some really rough times. One of her friends invites her to come on this wilderness retreat that's supposed to be like very therapeutic and very healing. And while they're there, the other people there start disappearing one by one. I really enjoyed how character driven this one was. I liked Hannah as a main character a lot. I loved the psychosis aspect, because like you weren't sure if was the main character going crazy or was this stuff really happening. I also like the retreat setting. Those are always so much fun for me. Overall, I enjoyed this one. It was really good. Haunted Perron Manor. This was a great book, although I did listen to it on audio and don't recommend. The narration was just not good for the story, so if you read this one, you're better off reading it just physically. It's about sisters that inherit Perron Manor, which has a really crazy history, and they move into it together thinking you know, this will be good for us. One of the sisters is married, so her husband is also there, and they have a child together, and they're all just trying to navigate living in a new place and seeing what this part of life brings for them. And it brings some pretty crazy stuff. The house is crazy, and we love to see it in a haunted house book, but that's pretty much what this one is about. It is a series though, so this left off on a absolutely crazy cliffhanger, and I cannot wait to dive into the second book. I need to get my hands on it soon and see what continues, because it left me wanting more, and I'm very glad that there is more to the story because I think it has so much more potential. The last two we have is An Evil Premise by T. Marie Vandelli, and I'm a little bit disappointed in this one though, because I loved it for like 75% of the book, but when the twist hit, I was really confused, and I get so frustrated with myself sometimes when that happens, because I'm like, was I not paying attention enough in the beginning to understand now what's going on with the twist, or was the twist just something I wasn't expecting? I don't know, but I'm a minority with this book because I've seen everyone else who has read it say they loved it, but overall it did end up falling like mid to me. But it's about a woman who has not spoken to her sister in a really long time. They don't really get along, but when she gets a call that she's been in an accident and is now in a coma, she rushes to her bedside. While she's staying in town at her sister's apartment, she gets a call from her sister's literary agent saying that the manuscript her sister is writing is due, and can she maybe just finish it up since she's also a writer and get the manuscript delivered on time since her sister's in a coma. And so that's where we're at. But the manuscript is doing weird things. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but the manuscript that she needs to complete is very unsettling, and she doesn't know if she wants to commit, and things get crazier and crazier in the story, and it escalates like wildly. But like I said, when the twist hit, I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? I don't get it. So this one ultimately, I think it's a great story, but it did fall flat for me, and I don't know if that's user error. It certainly wasn't enough to make me say this wasn't a good book, because it was. It has a great premise, storyline, it was engaging the entire way, but that twist definitely fell flat on me. Lastly, we have The Wash Trap by Mark Edwards. This one, I have to say, did a really good job at keeping me engaged the entire time. And I think it had a lot to do with the way that it started off. In the very beginning, you learn that 6 friends are reuniting after years for a dinner party. And what these 6 friends used to do together was that they all worked on this project for like a dating app, where they came up with this idea of how to test to see if someone was a psychopath. So they all worked together to develop this product, this software, this testing system, and something went wrong. And then they have not had contact with each other for a really long time, and they're just reuniting again after all receiving the same invitation. But things take a dark and deadly turn at this dinner party when all the guests are locked in, and they're all given an ultimatum, which is tell us your darkest secrets or we will you one by one. So like I said, this one was really good. It definitely kept me entertained the entire time, and I really liked the storyline. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, unfortunately, although Mark Edwards does have another book that I read recently that I loved. It's called The Psychopath Next Door. That one was so good, so I still look forward to reading more of his books. He has a ton of them. This one, I would say overall it fell in like the good range. This was a good book, but for me it wasn't great, but I still did enjoy it. So that's it. That wraps up all the books that I read in the month of October. This was such a fantastic reading month for me. The quality was there. The quality of the books that I read was so good. There were only a few that I didn't really connect with, but all of the rest, so good. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you liked the video and considered subscribing to the channel so that you can see some more future content from me. I love to yap about books. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's gotta be that. So all of you that are here to talk about books with me and share in that joy, I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.